Hey YouTube, Repo Man 64. I always start off by saying, and we're still here. Now I'm saying, why are we still here? We should be gone by now. Got some pictures we're going to go through, and a couple of explanations of where we are on the timeline, and I'll show all that to you right now. Hit the wrong button. Okay, let's start from the beginning. In Israel, they have changed their time. Daylight savings time happened on the 24th. In America, we changed our time on the 12th. There were 12 days where we were 6 hours different here in the East Coast from Israel. Now, again, we are 7 hours apart from Israel. And he shall speak great words against the most. See, there's so many clues in the Bible. There's so many clues in the Bible, and I feel like that we have to take them all and put them all together. And when they all start to form together, just like I want to say this, like the rapture dates we're trying to figure out, and we're all given different dates. I'm trying to get this, and some people are like, stop giving dates. God's giving dates. God told us things to look for. He said, look for this and look for that. You don't have to go to any YouTube channel to try to figure out a date. You can just look out into the world. It's happening right now, right in front of everybody, for everyone to see. And if God didn't want us to see it, he wouldn't send us all of the things that are happening. There's a massive uptick in earthquakes and volcanoes. There's stuff going on in Israel that we never dreamed would happen. This earthquake in Turkey, mind blown. There's people that had dreams that when Taiwan gets attacked by China, we go up. That's it. We have the burden of Damascus, which, I'm not saying that has to happen on this rapture, because I believe that there is a rapture of the bride. There is a rapture of the saint. Who are the saints? The bride has surrendered everything. We don't worry. And this is the difficult part to explain to somebody who is not a bride. We don't worry about anything. We come to the cross with absolutely nothing, no works. I will speak to a works-based Christian all day long, and I cannot get it through their head when they say you have to stop sinning. No, you don't. You will stop sinning. That's the fruit. That's the proof. You don't have to do anything. Jesus did it all. There's nothing that you need to do. Jesus has done it all. Well, that's true, but you still have to be good. No, you don't. You will, but you don't have to do anything. And that is the hardest thing I have when speaking to a works-based Christian. Now, they're Christians. They love Jesus. Oh my! This guy I know loves Jesus a lot, but he walks a very fine line. And I asked him today, "What do you do if you sin?" He says, "Well, you stand the risk of going to hell." I'm like, "No, you don't. No, you don't. You do not. We all sin." He says, "No, you can't sin." I'm like, "Yes, you can." So it's a very difficult thing to be in. Now, like I said before, do we even waste our time talking to a saint, trying to explain to them, just like the rich man that came up to Jesus and said, I've done everything, man. I'm perfect since my childhood. I've never sinned. I've obeyed every law. I'm going to heaven. That's it. I'm going to be there. Nobody can stop me, right? And Jesus said, go sell everything you own, because Jesus knew the one thing that he was holding on to. And the point is that he had things. No one, and I mean no one, will show up in heaven and make the claim, I got there because I did this and because I did that. And I posed that question to this fine Christian today, and he said, no, And he knows the rules, he knows the laws, he knows the Bible very well. He just doesn't know. Depart from me, for I knew you not. It is not a works-based gospel in this dispensation. Now remember, the saints outnumber the bride 100 to 1. I don't even know how many, a lot to 1. And I'm going to show you that. At the end, I'm going to go through Revelation. I hope the video doesn't go too long, but at the end, we're going to receive a blessing. It is the only book that states if you read this book, contemplate this book, and attempt to understand this book, you will receive a blessing. So today, towards the end, we are going to receive a blessing. So let's go through the pictures real quick. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of times. The saints are a very important part. The saints of the tribute. The bride comes from the saints. The bride can be called a saint. A saint cannot be called a bride, if that makes sense. The bride comes from the saint, but the saint cannot be called a bride. They are different. So there are certain passages that will call us saints. We are. That is the group we come out of. We are the select of the elect. We have come to the cross with nothing to offer whatsoever. And that is an understanding. And once you're a bride, you know that there's just no other way to explain it. Let's see. I got this. I think I get a lot of stuff off Facebook, and this is Michael Rood. According to barley inspections in the land of Israel. Now this was, I think I took this picture 2 days ago, and the picture was 2 days old. So it'd be like 4 days ago. According to barley inspections in the land of Israel, the barley is, it says Aviv, they call it Abib, but same thing. Therefore, the next new moon sighting in the land of Israel will begin the first month of the biblical New Year. I've showed you many, many times that the moon, there is a warning in Enoch, and you can find this warning in the book of Jubilees, the Legend of the Jews, and many, many books. You can find this warning not to use the moon to start anything. As a matter of fact, in our Bible, they have translated Rosh Chodesh as new moon. But if you read the Latin Vulgate, they not only translated the term rapture to rapturo correctly from the word in the original of harpazo, where we translated it as catching away, which caused a lot of grief for a lot of people for a long time until we realized that catching away is harpazo and is rapturo, same thing. We're getting a lot of grief here about the moon, and the actual translation for Rosh Chodesh is new month. Everywhere, I would say that almost everywhere you read new moon, you could put the word month in there. And in the new month, meaning, how would you know it's a new month? Because of the position of the sun in the constellations. There are 12 months in a year, 12 apostles, 12 hours in a day, times 2, 24. There are 12 constellations. And in each constellation, there's a marking point to start up each month. I saw this on Facebook. I thought this was cool. The Nubian donkey has a cross on its back because it was said that this breed of donkey carried Jesus to Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. Powell said, according to legend, the donkey knew what Jesus was facing at a trial and much suffering. Knew what that Jesus was facing. So apparently God put a cross on the back of this donkey. I saw this also on Facebook. Rapture flight boarding. Let's go. This is a page on Facebook. I thought was pretty cool. Now I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and you sat on him, was called Faithful and True. All right, timeline. Where are we at right now? I want to get to Revelation because that's I want to receive a blessing too. All right. Now, I want to make the argument again that March 16th is the day of equal parts. Some will say the day of equal parts is March 20th because that is the day the sun crosses over the equator. However, there is no days of equal parts. There's no day on March 20th where it is in Jerusalem 12 hours of day and 12 hours at night. Like Jesus says when referring to Lazarus, not only does he tell us what day it is, he tells us when Lazarus died. He has admitted that Lazarus has in fact died, and quickly, and you know it's very important when he changes the subject. And he changes the subject and just goes straight to, are there not 12 hours a day? If you walk in the day, you will not stumble. What are we doing after March 16th? We are walking in the day. The days are getting longer. The days have been getting longer since December the 21st on the solstice, but at this particular day, it is the day of equal parts, the day where there are 12 hours in a day and 12 hours a night. You can look it up on Time and Date. I've showed it millions of times. The very next day is St. Patrick's Day. Another reason why this calendar is so near and dear to me is because as you go throughout the year, so many events line up on this. It's like God had his hand in the Gregorian calendar, and you have Mary conceiving on Christmas Day. You have Mary visiting her cousin, and John the Baptist leaping in the womb when she was just 7 days pregnant, when the egg will attach itself to the uterine wall. So it lands on New Year's Day. How do you ignore that? How do you ignore when you do the math, and it's down here in the bottom, you can look, these are the days of the month according to the Enoch timeline calendar. Nisan will have 30 days. Iyar will have 30 days. Sivan will have 31. And if you look across, Kislev will have 31. Bottom left, Elul will have 31, and Adar will have 31. It exactly mirrors, which is why when God told Moses, this now is the head of your year, he said that on Nisan 1. He said that on March 17th. Where are we in a constellation on Nisan 1? On March the 17th? Well, we are in the constellation of Pisces. Pisces is the head of our constellations for the head of our year. Why does the Bible mention Aries? The Bible mentions Aries because back in Jesus' time, that was where March 17th landed. March 17th landed in Aries 2,000 years ago, but due to the precession of the sun will actually move 30 days out of place every 2,000 years. So it has moved, since Jesus was here, one constellation from Aries to Pisces. And what does Pisces represent? It represents the bride and the saint. Both fish represent both. And then after that, during the 1,000-year millennium, the sun will be in Aquarius, where the water will be poured over the sun on that date, March 17th. Every year they are in the millennium, and when the millennium ends, so the sun will come out of the water, the picture of water at the end. It's quite an amazing story. If you read the story of the heavens, which is what it was designed, the reason the sun precesses like it does is because it tells us a story. It is not simply, this is it, this is the constellation, it doesn't move, it doesn't budge, you will always look at this constellation. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't tell a story. The story starts in Gemini, God together with man. That's where the sun began at creation. It moved to the horns of the bull. That's where the flood was. That's where mankind was judged. 1,656 days from creation. The sun landed in the horns of the bull and then processed on And if you use the same date as you go, it processed on March 17th. You keep going, and you'll see that it processes into the Lamb. The Son was in the Lamb during the period of time Jesus was here. Now, it took 2,000 years to get through the Lamb, but still, he was here. And where did it go? He came at the end. He showed up here towards the end of the Lamb. And then the last 2,000 years, the Son has been processing through Pisces. And during the next 1,000 years, and it's a beautiful story, written right in the heavens for all of us to read. Where are we at right now? Real quick. We have just passed the triumphant entry. This is yesterday when Jesus rode that donkey with the cross on its back into town, where they threw palm branches at the hoofs of the donkey and the colt, and he rode in. He has his last supper. I hadn't put this on the timeline because not that I didn't really work on it. I didn't work on it because I thought the meal with Mary, with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus was the most important meal. I know the Last Supper is a very important meal, but I thought that the meal with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus was substantial in what we should be looking at as the rapture date being before March the 24th. And I was wrong. And the reason I'm wrong, and I noticed it the other day, Martha's there. Martha is a saint. Martha will not be at that meal. Lazarus will, Mary will, the dead in Christ will, and Mary, who's down at the feet, washing Jesus' feet with her hair and very expensive perfume. She's there, but Martha's not. What's Martha doing? She's running around, trying to get ready. She's working very hard. She is a saint. So this meal right here is not the banquet that we're headed to. This meal is the meal that will happen at the end of when the saints show up in heaven. Now, how long that is, I don't know. Is it 7 days? Is it 30 days? Is it, I don't know. I don't know when the saints will show up. Is it 3.5 years? There's so many different arguments. I really don't see where, for example, my friend that loves Jesus very much, but he believes in this works base that he has to continue to be good type gospel. He's like the rich guy that shows up and proclaims that he has everything that he needs, but he doesn't. But God still loves him. I know God loves him because he loves God very much, and he's very important to God. And how long will he take to recognize, and that's why I'm talking to him, how long will it take for him to recognize that not me necessarily, I pray I'm going, I think I am, but 153 or 150, somewhere over 100 million, but less than 200 million people have disappeared off the face of the earth. How long do you think it will take that saint to drop to his knees, just like Elisha did when Elijah was taken away and ripped off his worldly works and put on the cloak that was sent down to him from Elijah? I don't think it's going to take very long. I don't think it's going to take 3.5 years. I think it's going to take 2.5 seconds for them to realize that they missed. They will see it happen, and they will drop, just like Elisha did, and rip. He tore his garment. It says he rent his clothes, tore it off. He tore off the world. So I don't think it's going to take them that long, honestly. And besides that, again, Jesus, God is going to divert his attention back to Israel, and in the end, they are going to look up and cry and realize that he was the one that they pierced, and that they are trying right now, actually, they're trying to outlaw him in Israel. What? They're trying to outlaw Jesus in Israel right now. Talk about, man, we're in it right now, are we not? We are in it right now. This is going down here momentarily. This cannot last much longer. Yes, we have stepping stones that we're stepping across in a creek. You can only see the next stepping stone because there's so much fog you can't see the other side. But you have faith that you're not going straight with the river, that you're actually crossing the river, and you just take the next stone and the next stone and the next stone. And if God didn't want us watching and trying to figure this out, He wouldn't be sending dreams to and visions to, I think it was a Swedish boy. I don't know. I don't think I have it in here as a picture. Swedish boy got this vision that I think it was March 26th. I want to say today, in 2018, 5 years, or no, yesterday maybe it was, but 5 years, the end of grace. He has this vision that there are three raptures, in fact. That when the first group goes, some will drop to their knees, and others will be like, I'm not sure that was a rapture. And then all of a sudden, boom, another group goes, okay, now I know that it's a rapture. So. And then, of course, there's this group that will be beheaded for the Word of God. So that might be the third group. But at any rate, we are now on March the 27th. We, at nightfall, on March the 29th, this is why we see the problem we have in the Bible as to when the Passover meal was. At nightfall, at 6 p.m., in Israel, it becomes night. They have the Last Supper. It is now the 30th. The 30th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. A bunch of hours later, Jesus goes to the cross and gives up his ghost on the cross at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 30th. Jesus does not only attend a Last Supper where he says, this will be the last time I drink of the what does it say, I'm paraphrasing, but of wine, the fruit of the tree, until I drink it anew with you in heaven. So that is going to happen in 2 days, on the 29th, at nightfall in Israel, is when the Last Supper will be performed. He is the Last Supper. He is the Passover. But it works because at nightfall it becomes the 30th. So technically he has Passover when the day just begins, and the day ending, Jesus goes to the cross and he is crucified and he gives up the ghost. He does this on March 30th. March 30th will be the date of the crucifixion. I think that everything is just, I think Satan's chomping at the bit to get us out of here. He wants to get his business started. I think Jesus, I saw a beautiful story about how we show up in heaven. I might have it in the pictures, I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful story about how we show up in heaven and all of our sins are forgotten. We just don't remember them. And when we're there will be no guilty feelings over what we had done. It'll just be, I'm saved, I'm here, this is awesome, and we get to meet our best friend in the whole wide world, somebody that you have been looked forward to meeting forever and just wasn't sure how that would go. It's going to be like your best friend, So let's keep on with the pictures. I wanted to point this out. Now, Spinebreaker, I'm in a group chat with Spinebreaker, and he has made comments that when the moon, since the bride goes and both the bride and the saints are a part of this moon, we are reflective of Christ, but the first quarter is on the 29th, the Last Supper, when the moon is exactly 50%. 50% bright, being the bride, 50% dark, being the saints. Again, a very important group of people. And he said, I want you, and we're going to go through a little bit of this for a second. I want to point out to you the difference between a bride, a saint, and a Jew. And remember, I always say the saints are important, but the Jews are just as important to God, because he's waiting and waiting and waiting for the end when they will look up to heaven and cry and realize that he was the one that they pierced. We pray for Israel We never are upset at Israel for doing what they're doing. They are, I guess for lack of a better term, playing their part. And the Jews will always deny Christ, all the way up until the point where they weep and they look up and they realize that this is the one that we pierced. Once that realization happens, once they come to Christ, nobody goes to heaven except through Jesus Christ. Nobody. And nobody, John 6:44, on the wall behind me, nobody comes to God, to the Father, lest the Father draw him. God is drawing us. He's putting us in certain situations and certain avenues through life. You don't like the way your life is going? I can promise you, didn't like the way mine went. But I'm here for a reason. And if it didn't happen the way it happened, I wouldn't be standing here right now. So I'm thankful for every trial and tribulation that I went through. Period. There is no looking back. No excuses, no regrets, nothing. My life previous to this, the surgery, all the terrible things that happened to me, all those things, I embrace them because I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for those things. I am so thankful that I have all those things, because otherwise, if I weren't standing here right now, that would be very bad for me. And for anyone who's gone through a horrible time, you're not beating anything. You're not stopping anything. God put you through those things on purpose. Embrace it and be thankful for it. And know that you're here for that purpose. God, nobody comes to the Father lest the Father draw him. Obviously, I was hard-headed. Obviously, I was super hard-headed because it took him a minute to get me to turn to. I've been looking at timelines for a very long time, but just getting seriously involved in trying to figure this out with all my heart and all my mind. So, and he said, he sent Peter and John. This is Luke, the Gospel of Luke. Remember, the Bible is written to everyone, including the Jew. It's written to all of us. This is every word that God will ever say to us until we are raptured out of here. Then he'll have so much more to say. But this is everything we need for salvation. The reason the Bible has the books it has is because those are the only books that were required for our salvation. No, we do not need the book of Jubilees, even though Jesus mentions the book of Jubilees. We do not need the book of Enoch. We do not need the legends of the Jews. We don't need any of those books in the Bible. But those books verify what the Bible teaches. They expound on certain things that we can, that a Christian that is no longer a baby, that is eating meat, can look at and try to figure out like we do. I want you to notice in this verse, Luke is speaking to everyone, primarily to the bride. And he sent Peter and John. Here we have the two people named. He knows them intimately. He knows them by name. I'm not saying he doesn't know the 12 apostles, but he's using this as an example to us, saying, go and prepare us the Passover that we may eat. And he said, and notice how big this passage is in blue. And he said unto them, where wilt thou that we prepare? And he said unto them, behold, when ye enter into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. When are we going? We are going before the sun, which I've heard. I saw a video. I think I have it on here. Actually, you need to go watch it. But it shows that the sun has reached a threshold of going into Aquarius, and it reached it this year in 2023. This moment in time in 2023. Like I said, it's a very good video, and I believe I have it at the end for you to go. And remember, when you go to these videos that I show you, please subscribe. Show them. Not only, it helps the algorithm, and if you think that there might be someone out there, 8 billion people on the face of this earth, someone out there, just like happened to me, that they came, says, I don't know why you're in my feed. You know why I was in their feed? Because I had over 80,000 views on that video. I had 80,000 views. I had tons of likes. So YouTube, wanting to make money for themselves, I don't make a penny off of this, but the way they do it is when you become very popular, they will move your video into arenas that don't typically get to see a video like yours. And now this message is getting to people who won't typically look at this type of YouTube video. That's why I asked you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please help the algorithm. Please get it to people who typically wouldn't hear this. If I could get 1 million views, or not even me, if you would just give 1 million views and subscribe to the ones that I tell you to watch, because I'm telling you they're very good, put together very well, and these people have a message that somebody that typically won't see it, the algorithm will show up for them to see it. So again, and ye shall say unto the good man of the house, the master saith unto thee, where is the guest chamber where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he shall show you a large upper room furnished. And what does he say? There make ready. There make ready. Notice that. He names the people. There is a large upper room, and there make ready. And there's a picture of water. Mark, this is primarily speaking to the saints. I believe there's more than one group of saints. There are some hard-headed people out there like me. That's going to take a minute to see this rapture occur. And he sendeth forth 2 of his disciples. They are not named. He just sends forth 2. We know who they are, but he don't mention it in this gospel because they are the saints. They are not known, just like the bride is known. Depart from me, for I knew you not. I learned that on We Are the Overcomers. He did an amazing video that I watched, and he finally explained to me in a way that I would understand who the 10 virgins were. I thought forever, that the 5 virgins with oil was the bride and the 5 virgins without was the saint. Where's the Jew? And the answer to that is wrong. There's always all 3 of them. Every time a story is told or an event happens, you will find the bride, you will find the saint, and you will find the Jew in every single story. You will find Barabbas. He stood up there. He didn't speak a word. He was the bride. Jesus took his place. He didn't deserve it. Barabbas knew he was guilty. Barabbas knew he should be on that cross. He didn't say a single word. He stood right up there silent as Jesus took his place. Barabbas is a bride. That's us. The thief on the cross, he had to speak. He had to ask. And Jesus told him where he was going. Bride is talked about in Thessalonians as going to the third heaven, as getting a robe of brilliant white, getting a crown of gold and jewels, getting a rod of iron, a white horse, and sitting in a banquet. That is spoken of as who the bride is. The saint is also going to heaven. They're also going to a place that's prepared for them. They're getting palm branches, and they have to wash their robes white. Was Barabbas any better than the thief on the cross who said, please remember me today when you get to where you're going, when you get to your Father? And he says, I promise you, today you will be with me in paradise. And then who's the other thief? The one that denied Jesus all the way through, never said a word, never took his side, never asked for anything. He was the Jew, just like the Jewish people will do when the rapture occurs. They still will have their eyes closed. They are going to have their eyes closed all the way through 7 years of tribulation. They're going to have, if the Swedish boy is correct, through 3 separate rapture events. I think there's 2, but I've seen another one. I think it's in Revelation 15. I haven't quite worked that out yet, but I've heard a lot of good discussions that there are 3. I believe honestly, the 6-year-old, or I don't know how old the child is, but Swedish boys dream over all of us who study this stuff nonstop. I believe him because he has no reason to lie. He has no reason to exaggerate. He said there are 3, and he said God told him that. I can't see any other way, honestly. Let's read this in Mark. And he sendeth forth two of his disciples, and saith unto them, Go ye into the city, and there shall meet you a man bearing a pitcher of water. Here we go with the pitcher of water again. Follow him, and wheresoever he shall go in, say ye unto the goodman of the house, The master saith, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he will show you a large upper room, which is in heaven, furnished and prepared. It's almost the same as the bride. Again, the saints are all very important. The bride, the saints, the Jew, all super important to God. And he will show you a furnished and prepared. There make ready for us. See? What is over here? There make ready. There make ready for us. We are the bride. We're going first. The saint is saying, make it ready for us. All right. The Last Supper. This is the same passage found in Matthew, which is directed towards the Jew. And notice how small it is. Medium-sized, large. The bride, the saint, the Jew. And he said, Go into the city to such a man. What? How do I recognize him? He doesn't have water. He doesn't have anything. Say unto him, The master saith, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house. That's weird. See, at this time, remember, this Passover that's going to be kept will be at the house that is made here on earth. The Jews do not go to heaven. They go into the millennium. We come down here. They don't go up there. My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. It's almost telling you the date, isn't it? March 29th, 30th. At the very end. All right, I wanted to point this out. March 17th, the head of the year, the day that in Exodus 12 that God told Moses, this now is the head of your year. That's where the sun is, on March 17th, 2023. On March 17th, 2030. Barely moves, doesn't it? Moves a little bit, but this, as you will see in a video that I'm going to point out that you should go subscribe to and watch very often, because it's very good. This video that shows you exactly, I forget the term, azimuth? I don't recall the term, but the sun has passed a point where it is now become Aquarius, and that is happening right now as we speak in 2023. By 2030, it will be well in Aquarius. Right here on this date, it is in Aquarius because it has passed some point that she has discovered. Here is where the sun will be on March the 17th in 3030. For 1,000 years, that water on the head of the year will be poured out over the sun for 1,000 years. At the end of that 1,000 years, the sun will have made it through the water, and this is where the end will come. The end of the 7-year tribulation. I don't know why I did this. I really don't. April 2nd. Now remember, Jesus rose on April the 3rd, early in the morning. The Jews call it April the 3rd at nightfall. We call it April the 3rd at midnight. But the sun had not come up yet. Yes, it was April the 3rd, but the sun had not come up. He did not complete this night. This night is not counted towards his 3 days and 3 nights. So it is April the 2nd, technically. So from March 17th, 2020 to April the 2nd, it is 1111 days, 1,111 days. I thought that was, I guess I found that, or somebody mentioned it to me somewhere, and I was like, wow, that is kind of cool. So, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven. I want you to notice this passage in 1 Thessalonians 4:16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. And remember, it is actually Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but Luke goes first, then Matthew. I'm sorry, Luke goes first, then Mark, then Matthew. He always speaks of the last thing first. What is the last thing spoken of here? The trump of God. When we hear that trumpet blast, we go. There will be another one, a voice of an archangel, and then there will be another one, a shout. This is not all one event. This is three separate events. Is it that, like I said, two raptures and then a shout at the end? I don't know. I do recall someone in Revelation stating at the end he will come with a shout. So I wanted to point that out. I want to show you something. I did this last year where I put all the timelines on my timeline so I could show you that I felt like they didn't work, but this is the one that does, which is why I only did this one this year. I didn't put all those others on there. This is what they will call the head of the year, and the reason they do this is because in the Bible it says that in Aries, this is the time of Jesus. Again, the heavens tell a beautiful story. When the sun was in Aries, in fact, I'll show you in a moment, on the day of equal parts, in 30 AD, this is where the sun was. Right now, what they're calling the head of the year, that's 422. You see down here at the hoof, the bottom hoof of Aries, you can see the moon, the first sliver of the moon. This is the first day of the year, the 22nd or the 23rd. This is the first day they're calling of the year. I do not agree with this because while the sun was in Aries on March 17th, when they called it the head of the year, the sun precesses every 2,000 years by 30 days. It takes 30 days to move into each different constellation. So this is what they call the head of the year this year. This is what they're going to say, well, this is the head of the year, and then 14 days after this is when Jesus went to the cross. I want to caution you and remind you that the sun, in fact, moves. This was accurate 2,000 years ago. It is no longer accurate now. We cannot stay concrete on that concept. March 23rd, this is what they will call the head of the year when they are using the moon. On March the 23rd, they saw the first sliver of the moon. This is why their timeline is starting on March the 23rd. Add 14 days to that, and it'll show that Jesus rises on I think it's April the 7th or the 6th, I don't recall what date they have. But this is why they have to count 14 days from the day they're calling the head of the year. And this is the day they're calling the head of the year. I don't recall which calendar it is. But this is the first sliver of the moon after the sun crosses over the equator, which that happened on March the 20th. There are those that will call that the head of the year, March the 20th, because it is the moment the sun crosses over the equator, and the equator actually means equal parts. The problem with that is that equinox means equal night. Jesus did not speak first. Jesus spoke ill of the equal night. He says, if you travel in the night, you will stumble. But if you travel in the day, he's given us yet another sign or a message as to when the head of the year is, and that is the equal lux. That literally means equal day. And the head of the year is March 17th. It has been March 17th since God handed down the law to Moses. It has been March 17th since back then. But the sun precesses, and during the time of Jesus, it was in fact in the Lamb. It is not there anymore. It is here. It's over here, almost at the end of Pisces. All right. This, if we say, okay, this is the head of the year. If you want to say this is the head of the year, the first sliver of the moon after the sun is in Aries, and call the head of the year on April the 22nd, and 14 days later, Jesus goes to the cross. If you say that, then you have to say that this is the head of the year. And this is where the sun was on March the 23rd. If you see the first sliver of the moon there in the forehead of Taurus, and the sun is in Taurus. No, that was 2,000 years ago in 30 AD. This is inaccurate. Jesus was here when the sun was in the Lamb, but the sun has moved 30 days out of place in the last 2,000 years. So this is not the head of the year then. This is not the head of the year now. All right. Let's see. Oh, this, if you're going to use the moon now. If you're going to use the moon. This was the head of the year back in March 24th with the first sliver of the moon. It might be 25th, but that's where it was in 30 AD. Again, using the moon. I don't agree with using the moon. March 17th, the sun would be still in Aries back at 30 AD when Jesus was here. And the head of the year was March the 17th. Give him a shout. This might be where I have it. Let's see here. I don't recall. I've watched so many videos. Please go watch. Please go subscribe to this channel. I can't even begin to take a snapshot, or I'll leave it up here for a second for you to write that down. But they had some good. Was this the one? 14. I think this is the one where. Yeah, this is the one. It really got into explaining very, very well. So much more technology than I have. Pretty much everybody has more technology than I have. But please go watch this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and give it a thumbs up so that the algorithm can get out there for people that don't typically watch this kind of stuff. It might wind up in their feed. They might watch it, and that when the rapture occurs, they might know what it is and not accept the mark of the beast. And that's what our major concern is for anyone who's left behind, because you can't really, the tares and the wheat grow together. We're the barley. We are not the tares. We are not the wheat. We are the barley. The barley is in Abib. It is time. The barley is in Abib now. It's not in Abib a month from now. It's in Abib right now. And we are, the wheat and the tare stand together. You cannot tell them apart until one of them bows over. The tares will never bow. They will stand proudly and straight. The wheat will bow over, and that's how you know what wheat is, the difference between the wheat and the tare. The wheat and the tare is a description of the saint and the complete unbelievers. So go watch this video here. Okay. Yeah, this was in my last video. Cheryl Kaufman asked me to pin her comment, and it's quite lengthy. And she did an amazing job, and I thought it was important to bring it to you for you if you want to go into my last video, and it's pinned, and read her comment. It's it's awesome. And look at that, 84 replies. I don't think I've ever gotten 84 replies on a comment before. But she did a spectacular job. I believe she had a dream. Again, I'm sorry, Cheryl. I watch so much and study so much. I don't even have enough time sometimes for Discord, and I feel bad because those people are over there just doing an amazing job of keeping it going. Yafa and Gina and Sue and all of them, and even Brenda. Honestly, Brenda helps me from God a Minute. He has a Discord. You know, I keep forgetting, but I'm going to put God a Minute's Discord in here too. His is a lot of fun. They spend a lot more time on the phone over there. We have Gina that controls the newsroom. You get a lot of news there. It's really, now, I don't want to say it's strict. It's not strict, but there are rooms for a purpose. There are rooms in there for a reason, and what we'd like is, in my room, I don't care. You can talk about whatever you want. It doesn't bother me. But in these other rooms, like Dr. Barry is not in my Discord, but we will post his videos in there. And the reason we do that, we hope that we have, I think it's over 1,400 subscribers in this Discord now. It's a lot. And we hope that there will be a Discord subscriber that will say, I've never heard of Dr. Barry, and then go watch his videos, and then go over there and subscribe to Dr. Barry because he's awesome with everything that he teaches. I love what he teaches. While some of us differ in our understanding of the beginning of the year, it is not a judgment. None of these things that I'm even talking about right now are a salvational issue on this timeline. This is not the salvational issue. This is us dreaming and hoping and praying that this is the day and that one of us goofballs figured it out, because I don't want to be that guy, honestly, but I would like to be like, this is looking really important, and then bam, it happens, and I'll be like, yes, even though I called another 50 days prior to this as high watch days. I've never said it's a rapture day. I don't know if the 29th is a rapture day. I don't know if the 30th, the day Jesus rises, goes to the cross, is a high rapture, is a rapture date. They are high watch days. They are that stepping stone getting you across the creek in the fog. You can't see the shore on the other side, but you can't even see the next stone. You just jump to it, and it's there. And then you jump to the next one, and it's there. And you're like, you have faith. You have faith. That's why you jump from stone to stone. And that's why we jump from date to date to date to and as we do this, each and every single one of us, watchers and studiers and everybody that's trying to figure this out, we do have some armchair quarterbacks out there, but with the hours and hours and hours of studying that Dr. Barry, I pale by comparison to that guy. He really does a lot of hard work on his stuff. And, my friends, Spinebreaker, and then the Cataclysm, Tony Early, and then you have Whack Pack on Facebook. That's kind of a really cool Facebook. And then Will over at Worship and Watch. He's been busy with work lately. Did I miss anyone? I think I got everyone. But no, I didn't get everyone because I'm subscribed to over 200 people. I can't quite possibly get to everyone. But I really enjoy promoting other channels on purpose, because they might say the same thing I do or a similar thing, but you'll understand it better from them. And that's the most important thing. It's not about anybody getting, being the winner here. I don't want to be the winner. That's not what I'm looking for. But I am so utterly amazed at how this timeline has unfolded in front of me. I can't deny it. And it's not that I want to be right by any means. I will accept the head of the year if somebody can give me a definitive head of the year that begins on the same day every year. It must begin on the same day every year. You can't complete a year and say, we're 30 days out for 30. Oh, this is where we're starting. What happened to that 30 days you were talking about? Where did that go? You can't just brush it under the rug. 30 days had to happen somewhere. This is why I love this timeline, is because it doesn't budge. It is always March 17th. I don't care what day it lands on. It's always March 17th. It never changes. The last Sabbath, setting up your Sabbaths for the following year, if you're one of those people that feel like you have to work and you got to work for that salvation and you got to obey that Sabbath, then your Sabbath starts this year on a Thursday. Actually, let me show that to you. Forgot about that. March the 16th is the last Sabbath, right there. This is the day also that there are 12 hours in a day. This is the last Sabbath. March the 17th is St. Patrick's Day. It is New Year's Day. It is the day in Exodus 12 where God said, this is now the head of your year. The 18th, absolutely nothing. Let's go to the 19th. This is the ceremony that Mary and Martha had to perform when Lazarus died back on the 16th. There's a third-day ceremony. You will find this in the Levitical laws. They have to perform this ceremony after touching a dead body. They are unclean for 7 days, but they have to perform this ceremony on the third day, and this is when Mary and Martha perform that ceremony. On the 20th is the equinox, the day of equal night. This is the day that Jesus resurrected Lazarus. There is not 12 hours in the day on this day. This is the day that Lazarus was brought forth out of the grave and brought back to life or raised. The 21st, nothing. The 22nd, this is the beginning of Ramadan. We all know that because we started stating that they were going to go crazy over there because of Ramadan. The 23rd. Mary and Martha are now clean. On the 23rd of March, they are now clean. The seventh day has been completed on the 23rd. On the 24th, there is this meal with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Why can they have this meal now on this eighth day? Because they are clean. They could not have or prepare any kind of food for anyone except for themselves during that 7-day period because they were unclean, let alone Jesus, God Almighty, showing up there. They had to be clean. This is yet another clue as to when Lazarus died. Mary and Martha now are clean on the 24th. On the 25th, again, don't pay attention to the day. It changes every year. This year, the 25th happens to land on a Saturday. Find a man with a pitcher of water and rent the upper room. Why did I write that? I don't even know why I wrote that. That's weird. Is it the 25th I thought that happened? Let's keep going. The 26th. What happened? This is the triumphant entry. This is the day Jesus enters 4 days prior to the cross. He enters in. I did not pay much attention after this fact for those 4 days until Jesus was on the cross, and that's why I kind of missed the Last Supper and where it was. On the 27th. Nothing. I'm sure something, but on the 28th. I still show nothing. On the 29th. I'm guessing, and again, this is the guess, the Last Supper occurred sometime near the afternoon nightfall. It's a supper, number one, and number two, this is where they rented that upper room. This is where they celebrated this Passover. I bet you I wrote that because on the 27th he went to get on the 25th he would have gotten the donkey. I bet you that's why I put that date in there. He got the donkey on that day. I didn't write it down. Last Supper, sometime between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. Passover begins at nightfall at 6 p.m. when it becomes the 30th. So he's enjoying a Passover meal on the 30th. However, it is still the 29th for us until midnight. And even I've heard comments that sometimes in the Bible it describes the next day as being early in the morning when the sun rises. So let's see, the 30th, Jesus says it is finished. He does this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Israel time, which would be 8 a.m. my time here in Eastern Standard Time. Those 3 hours did not count towards his first day in the grave. They did not count because it's not a full day and it's not a full night. So I don't want to go through all that. I want to do this. I want to go through this real quick. I want to find out who these people are in the sixth seal. Okay. Now, I missed the sixth seal. Where's the sixth seal? Fourth seal. Sixth seal. All right. Who are these people that appear at the sixth seal? And I beheld. Now let's receive our blessing. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is where we receive our blessing. We're going to study in Revelation, and we're going to try to reason together and try to understand this. And let's let the Bible speak to us. And I beheld, and when we had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. Remember, there's an earthquake before a rapture. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. Even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and every island were moved out of their place. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman hid themselves in dens in the rock, in these bunkers that they built now, rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains to fall fall on us and hide us from the face of him. See, they're doing this because they don't want to hear that trumpet. They don't want to hear the shout. They don't want to hear the voice of the archangel. They don't want to hear this. Just like at Mount Sinai, when God was speaking to them all, they quietly spoke to Moses, saying, "Please tell him to stop speaking. He's breaking our ears. We can't stand that sound. It's too loud. You speak to him and then tell us what he says, and we'll do it." Let's see here. I should have highlighted this and made a photocopy of it. Let's see here. Let's see. After these things, I saw 4 angels seated in 4 corners of earth, 4 winds. Okay, no, 44. There we go. The great multitude. Who are these people? At the 6th seal. We're in the 6th seal right now. We are not at the 7th seal. The 7th seal has nothing but 7 trumpets. It doesn't have a judgment that's coming. What are the seals? They are judgments of God. Jesus has already been judged. These seals have not been being opened up for the past 2,000 years or 6,000 years, or even the last 2 weeks. These seals are not open yet, and I'm going to show you, let the Bible teach us why. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude. Now this is a lot of people, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues. He makes sure to explain this great multitude comes off the entire planet. It's not all one language. It's every single language and every single people from around this planet, of every single color, every single language, every single financial, anything you can imagine. The diversity will be greater than like the entire, the entire planet itself. The diversity will be incredible. So, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hand. They are clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Okay, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood around about the throne, and about the elders, and the 4 beasts, and fell. Now here's the elders, those 24 elders, and those 4 beasts, and they're together right there with this great multitude that no man can count. And they come out of every tribe and every nation and every tongue. It makes it very clear who they are. They are representative of everyone on the face of the earth. Let's see here. Okay, and one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? At this point, we think this robe is white, right? It is. It's white. It's not brilliant white, but it is white. And whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, because he's like, I don't know where they came from. This is John going, why are you asking me? You're like from here. I don't know where they came from. Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation. Now, many will argue that these people, and I will as well, went through these 6 seals. We are now in the 6th seal. In the 6th seal is when these people appear in heaven. The 7th seal is when the trumpets are opened. And what have they done with those white robes? They have made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Okay, that's very interesting. We know that this is a great multitude. We know that this great multitude is from every tongue, every language, everywhere around the planet, and we know that they have palm branches, and they have washed their robes white in the blood of the Lamb. They did some work. Sounds like to me they had to work. Let's go back here. The book with the 7 seals. The Lamb is worthy. Yeah, I should have highlighted and did this. I thought this would be easier, but it's not. All right, now, and when, I'm going to read about, let's see here. I'll read this part. This is Revelation 5. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders. Who's the elders? 24 elders. Who is Rachel and who is Leah? Leah was the elder. Leah was the bride. Are there only 24 of the bride in heaven? Only 24 people and 4 beasts representing the bride of the Lamb? Is that all that goes? Let's keep reading. Let's find out what the Bible tells us in Revelation 5. Remember, we already have determined over there in Seal 6 that there's a great multitude that no man can count out of every tongue, language, and everything of all the people, and that they have washed their robes white, and they receive palm branches. Let's see here. And I beheld, lo, in the midst of the 4 beasts, in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, and had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat on the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden veils full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. How quickly do you think those saints that are left on earth will start praying? Immediately, right? When they see this rapture happen, just like Elisha saw Elijah go, he immediately dropped to his knees. It won't take but a millisecond for them to drop and realize that their works are for naught. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us. Who, the 24 elders? I don't know. Let's find out. To God by the blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. There's that term again. So are we to believe that these 24 elders encompass every single tongue? I know that for a fact that there's hundreds and hundreds of different languages on the planet. From every kindred, is there literally only 24 different groups of people on the planet from, I don't know, Australia, America, North America, South America, Canada, Ecuador, Honduras, all of the countries around the planet. Are there only 24? I don't know. Let's keep reading. And thou hast made us to our God kings and priests. Now, wait a second. This group has been made kings and priests. Who is covered by Christ and is the king? Who can be a king and a priest? Only Jesus himself and his bride. So you don't see that over in Seal 6. And hath made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on earth. For that 1,000-year millennium, we shall be in charge. Let's see. How many are there? 24? I don't know. Let's find out how many there are. And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels. He heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beasts and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands. Now, that is a group of people that will represent every tongue and every nation and every person around the planet, male and female, all of us that has been selected out of the elect to take part in this marriage with Jesus. It is an intimacy thing that is about to happen. Saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. Who's saying that? Well, a lot of people will say that's the 24 elders and there's 153 million angels. No, there are voices of angels. But those that are the beasts and the elders, and the number of them is 150 million. I say 150 million because it's somewhere between 100 million and 200 million. I think that's what the 153 fish represented, 153 million people who will be the bride. Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing, and every creature which is in heaven and on the earth, under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I say, blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. The 4 beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him that liveth forever. Again, I liken the 4 beasts to the 4 military groups. Remember, the 4 beasts each have wings, and each have 6 wings. These 6 wings are this. Each military group has a wing or a general, 6 generals, and under those generals, you can have a president all day long. I can walk into an empty piece of land and call myself the president, and I will defend it. My neighbor that has 20 people on his side will wipe me out because I am the president of nothing. I can't defend a piece of property unless I have a group of people. So you can have these 24 elders, you can have these 4 beasts, but they have the bride. We are part of that group. We are 10,000 times 10,000s and thousands upon thousands. There are so many more angels than 153 million, I can assure you. This number is directly related to the bride. And we go before here. We go before he opens the first seal. That is spoken of in Revelation 5. This is the first seal in Revelation 6. I hope and pray that this was a blessing to you. And we're going to continue to watch, and we're going to continue to jump across those stones to get across to the other side. And it's so foggy we can't see it, but the very next step might be the shoreline. You might reach it, the very next step. And we're just going to keep going and keep trying. Please go watch that video. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm going to be if not, if I miss if I did that wrong, I'll still put a link to it in the comment section so that you can go look at it yourself. Remember to comment and subscribe to them so we can get this algorithm out there so that people who might, while we still have time, get this algorithm out there so that others could see it that typically wouldn't see it, wouldn't normally wind up in their feed, and they might see it, We don't have millions of subscribers, so we have to do it in that way to get it into a feed that people that typically aren't looking for the return of Christ. They're looking at dogs on skateboards, they're doing they're looking at all kinds of stuff. But this one video might show up that says, I think I know when Jesus is coming back, or I think I know that he is sensational, maybe, but they also might look. I'm not going to say that is the name of this title. No, I'm not going to say that's the name of this title. Jesus, I know when Jesus is coming back. No, I don't know. I wish I did. If I did, I'll probably break a leg trying to get in here to make a video as fast as I can to tell you. But, so that from any moment now, I mean, any moment always, but seriously, any moment now, and on the 29th is the Last Supper. And I just feel like that supper, I was wrong about the other one because Martha was there. I didn't even notice it until the other day. Martha's at that supper, and she's the saint. She's not at this banquet that we're going to, this awards ceremony where we're going to get rods of iron. We're going to get a crown. We're going to cast those crowns at the feet of Jesus. I didn't read that part in Revelation. Go study that. You're going to see that those crowns are cast at the feet of Jesus. Is it 24 of them? Is it 24 of them? Or is it 153 million of them? It's 153 million crowns cast at the feet of Jesus. And so that was not the meal. That's the meal I looked for. I really thought that March the 24th could very well possibly be it. Triumphant entry already happened on the 26th. And then now we have this meal again. Are we supposed to be at that banquet? Is the bride supposed to be there on the 29th? I don't know. I really do believe this is the time. I really do believe that March 17th is the head of the year. It would take a whole lot of contrary evidence to make me believe that this is not the head of the year, St. Patrick's Day, for the main part, because Jesus was conceived on Christmas Day. And when you do the math, it lands squarely on Christmas Day because the flood began on Halloween. When you do the math down, just using, anybody can do it. Just use, I showed you the months, and I'll post, I think I already have this. Sister Sandy is putting this on her website, and it is I'm going to put a link. End Time Studies, endtimestudies.com, and she'll have this timeline there, but she'll make it pretty. Symphony does the same thing. There's so many wonderful people out there trying to figure this out, and but she puts it into her computer thing, and the numbers actually. I think she's found a couple of times where she was like, "This doesn't match," and I had to go back and we fixed it, and on my timeline she was accurate. Well, she uses a computer. I'm not that smart a guy, so it had to happen. But anyway, the flood happens on Halloween. I mean, come on, how could this timeline be wrong? After Jesus was born, the Bible clearly says that there's 40 days after bearing a male child that she will be covered in blood, and then she will be clean. What happened on November the 8th? Exactly 40 days later. This is why I know we're in the time now. This is the last season. This is it. And it all began with the September. It all began in September, and it's been working its way up to this point now. And 40 days later, as well as I do, the moon perfectly went in front of Uranus and went from blood red to white as it crossed. It was the most spectacular event I've ever witnessed, and it happened on November the 8th, exactly 40 days after Jesus was born. Just like the Bible said, it takes 40 days for a woman after she bears a child to the date. Now, I know this hasn't happened before, but that's God showing that time, not me. God showed that time. We were all looking at it going, this has to be it, this has to be it. But once we put it into perspective, I was just sitting there. I do math on all this stuff and go back and forth and add days and try to figure out if something works. And Symphony is the one that found actually February 11th was the date, the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, which lands 17 days before and 17 days after, and then another 17 days winds up on March 17th. It's just this timeline right here to me is woven so tightly it can't be any different than what it is. But it's not a salvational issue. When I get to heaven and I'm 20 years old again, I have all my hair, and I forget all of my previous sins, and I'm looking at my best friend in the whole wide world, Jesus Christ, my Savior. It's going to be an amazing day. It's going to be an incredible day. I can't even speculate on that day. I can't even, like he says, don't even try. Well, he didn't say don't try. Of course I try. But he does say no mind is ever conceived of what you're about to see. Wow. So anyway, Repo Man 64. I'm not sure what to name this. I don't even know what to say to name this thing. The Last Supper? I don't know. I'll think of something by the time I get this uploaded. We'll chat with you again later if I find anything, or I have a dream. I'd rather a Swedish boy have a dream child than myself, because it's much more believable when he does, because he has no motivations. So I would love to hear any dreams. I like watching Bob Barber's End Times Dreams and Visions, because he brings those dreams and visions on there, and you're just mind blown by some of the stuff he has on there. So anyway, I will post my Discord, God a Minute's Discord, and that video that I want you to watch from that person. And again, please subscribe. It'll help out the algorithm. Repo Man 64, we'll chat with you again later.